While studying painting at the San Francisco Art Institute, the work of Henry Cartier-Bresson and Robert Frank piqued Leibovitz's interest in photography. She began taking photography classes at night, and by the age of 21, she started working as a staff photographer for Rolling Stone magazine. This is big because back then, publications was a lot more controlled, and Rolling Stone was the editorial spot to be. This wasn't by chance. She took action to get into that position. While in school, she went to the Rolling Stone office with some photos of a demonstration against the war in Vietnam and some photographs she took during her time in Israel. Rolling Stone put one of her demonstrations pictures on the cover, and that's how she got put on. Her professional experience in these early years gave her industry know-how and cultivated experiences to learn practical solutions. She knew that making a career out of photography was difficult, so only doing personal work would not cut it in that era. While at Rolling Stone, she realized that her artistic ambitions could be satisfied in addition to her advertising campaigns and magazine editorials. Taking on personal projects is always a daunting task. It's incredibly fulfilling, but it's not always professionally and financially rewarding. Her workaholic attitude saw her become the chief photographer at the magazine within 3 years. Her reputation was set. This is where a personal brand began to build, and her exposure to different brands and companies presented many networking opportunities. Her association with a major pop culture magazine helped her understand the kind of clients she wanted to take on. She couldn't deal with just individuals. She had to deal with conglomerates. When she did work with individuals, though, she worked with celebrities who were brands themselves. For instance, take this photo. Leibovitz photographed the Rolling Stones for the Rolling Stone. During the band's tour of the Americas in 1975, she served as their tour photographer. Speaking of a megastar brand, let's turn to one quarter of the Beatles. Instead of Yoko taking her clothes off, Leibovitz instructed her to keep them on. John, on the other hand, was told to, well, you can obviously see. This image of John Lennon and Yoko was one of Lennon's final images as he was shot and killed just a few hours later. The event brought a fair share of attention to Leibovitz's name. A key thing from looking at her career is she knows her audience from what she shot. If I wanted to be a professional photographer, it would be a difference communicating taking headshots for a corporate company versus a niche, let's say in a wedding venue. As a photographer, I will make sure the words I use are recognizable and understandable when communicating to my clients. I think it's a great way to brand out, especially in her position at the time. It was more in music, rock and roll to be precise, but her popularity was about to increase with this photograph of an up-and-coming comedian, Whoopi Goldberg. The photograph's racial commentary would have been enough, but the suggestive routine at display turned heads. Leibovitz was carving her name as an artist with flair. Vanity Fair snagged her in 1983, but she kept working on all fronts. Here's another iconic image. That Bruce Springsteen photo. It perfectly encapsulated the American spirit. Both the cover and the album became cornerstones of American culture. In 1991, she mounted an exhibition at the Natural Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C. The book photographs Annie Leibovitz 1970 to 1990. She became the center of controversy, which is really a bad look for an artist. As they say, there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? This was the cover of the August 1991 Vanity Fair magazine. Do I need to explain why it was so controversial?
And I looked at it and I went crazy. I said, we have to do this on the cover. And of course, it did become a huge sensation. So many celebrities now say, oh, I want to do the Demi Moore cover. In fact, just recently, Serena Williams did a Demi Moore cover on Vanity Fair.
Annie Leibovitz was no stranger to nudity. After all, she had captured this photograph of Arnold Schwarzenegger in 1988. In terms of getting attention and recognition, this was a genius strategy. It was to get a conversation going and get more people to engage with their work. One thing that I like is Leibovitz was never apologetic about any of these portraits. Consider her 2008 portrait of Miley Cyrus for Vanity Fair that caused uproar.
The Miley picture was a beautiful, strong, simple picture. She loved the pictures and she loved taking that picture. And it's just, her audience, wasn't ready to take that picture.
In 2007, she photographed Queen Elizabeth during her state visit to the US. BBC claimed that the Queen walked out on the shoot, but it turned into a big scandal, and the head of BBC turned in his resignation for it. The Brooklyn Museum put on a massive retrospective of her work the same year. The exhibition included several photographs of celebrities and personal photos. A year later, she was again in the spotlight because of this cover. It seems alright, doesn't it? Apparently, the portrait references the 1933 version of King Kong. The model emulates Freeway, and LeBron poses as a giant. Audiences thought that the image propagated unhealthy racial stereotypes. The photographer did not respond. Annie Leibovitz, exposure to the industry with her first job, made it clear to her that she had to make the most of every opportunity. Personal work pays dividends in the long run. In the meantime, artists have to network and find the best home for their craft. A good enough reputation and a consistent work ethic ensures interest from the big boys. Before you build a portfolio, identify some brands you would love to work with. Then develop a portfolio that aligns with that brand, because you can't specialize in everything. There's a reason that Annie Leibovitz charges anywhere from $100,000 to $250,000 for a shoot. It is her portrait skills, but her branding also has a lot to do with it. If you liked our video, leave a like. For more content, subscribe to our channel. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you for the next one. Alright, y'all. I'm wishing you guys peace. I'm wishing you all positivity, and I'm wishing you guys success as well.